This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth. An NDP member of parliament has just tabled a bill that is seeking to criminalize residential school denialism. The bill is now before Parliament, and it would outlaw residential school denialism, making it a criminal offence to reject, justify, or minimize the damage caused by residential schools. Here is the bill, C-413, an act to amend the criminal code, promotion of hatred against Indigenous peoples. And let's hear it from the horse's mouth. This is the member of Parliament herself introducing this bill that she would like soon see become law. Check this out.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to table an act to amend the criminal code, promotion of hatred against Indigenous peoples. If passed, this bill would add to the criminal code the offence of willfully promoting hatred against Indigenous peoples by condoning, denying, justifying, or downplaying the harm caused by the residential school system.
It's hateful to deny that any of this stuff is potentially going on.
Canada, calling irrefutable historical facts.
Irrefutable historical facts. That is an absolute blatant lie. That's fake news if I've ever heard it.
Question. A genocidal project that was recognized as such unanimously in the House.
Major insane claims. Nothing was recognized unanimously as a massive genocide. The zero evidence has been shown to this day to support such a claim.
Survivors and their families deserve to heal from this intergenerational tragedy and be free from violent hate, and we cannot allow their safety and well-being to be put further at risk. All parliamentarians must stand firm against all forms of damaging hate speech, including the denial of the tragedy of the residential schools in Canada.
Do not dare deny that any of this happened. If we go back to where a lot of this is stemming from, it's largely from this May 2021 article, remains of 215 children found at former Kamloops BC residential schools. The only problem, guys, is this is not true. Nothing has been found to this day, but back then it didn't stop, other media outlets from continuing to, spread this lie. The remains of these children have been found at this Kamloops residential school. You got the BBC saying Canada is mourning as these remains of these children were found at Indigenous schools. You got this Al Jazeera article. This one unmarked grave is what genocide looks like. Advocates demand real government action to honor the 215 Indigenous children whose remains have been found at a residential school. They say 751 unmarked graves have been found at residential schools. The problem is none of this is true. Nothing has been found. This is a psyop of a photo op here where Justin Trudeau, with his little teddy bear facing towards the camera in his orange shirt pin, is kneeling down to nothing. In fact, what they ended up finding with the ground penetrating radar was anomalies that cannot be chalked up to potential bodies. In fact, the ground penetrating radar specialist, this woman here, who was the one who discovered all this in the first place, she said in her survey, after finding these 200 anomalies or targets of interest that she believes are possible grave sites, she said she stressed that hers was a preliminary investigation and only forensic investigation with excavation will ever provide definitive results. The very person who's responsible for all this says we have to excavate, and that's the only way that we will ever get definitive results. Well, guess what, folks? That has happened, and nothing has been found. No bodies were found after spending $8 million searching for bodies at a Kamloops residential school. Again, this is just a big fake psyop of a photo op. You've got the Manitoba residential school excavation turning up absolutely nothing, folks. You've got no evidence of human remains being found beneath the church at Pine Creek residential school site. The excavations are ongoing. No evidence found at unmarked graves related to the Shubenacadie residential schools either. No remains were uncovered at a former Kensal hospital site. 21 spots that were flagged by ground-penetrating radar only turned up debris. This is an ongoing, reoccurring theme. And speaking of only turning up debris, this one was just from a couple days ago, guys. Just on Friday, just before the weekend. George Gordon First Nation released their findings of its search of unmarked graves near the former residential school site. And what do they find? 8 anomalies were found in this First Nation search. So they're only coming up with big fat goose eggs, everyone. Look at this one. Investigation into potential unmarked graves of First Nations comes up empty. That's according to the RCMP. So literally to this day, not a single bone has been recovered here. Yet they're perpetuating this massive hoax and this massive lie. Now, some of the international news mainstream media outlets around the world started catching on to this. You've got the National Post reporting on the year of the graves, how the world's media got it wrong on these residential school graves. You got the New York Post coming out with this one. Biggest fake news story in Canada. Kamloops mass grave has been debunked by academics. Or you've got this from Daily Mail. Alleged mass grave of Indigenous children at Catholic schools across Canada contains no bodies. Excavation shows, as experts now suggest, it's proof that the stories were fabricated. I'll ask you guys, is the Daily Mail just engaging in hate speech here? Is the New York Post, engaging in denialism? Is the National Post something that needs to be, criminalized for suggesting any of this stuff? This is everything I've been saying since the very beginning. Back in June of 2021, I put this one out. The truth about residential schools' mass graves. It wasn't genocide. In fact, it amplifies the war on Christianity. This would be considered hate speech now if this new bill turns into law. Speaking of amplifying the war on Christianity, guys, I also put this out. The Pope's apology just perpetuates this mass grave and genocide hoax. When he, apologized for something, he had nothing to do with and hasn't been proven to be true. I put this out when I was interviewing, people on the streets of Vancouver, and the majority of them were in favor of church burnings as a result of learning about the so-called 215 bodies. Literally, churches are being burned to the ground, many of them, and all kinds of people here are fully in support of that, as I documented. Kamloops mass graves debunked by academics is the biggest fake news in Canada. I reported on that one. Again, this would be considered denialism, fake news, potential for being criminally charged. Unmarked graves investigation comes up empty. No criminal activities found. Surprise, surprise. Again, this type of material would be considered hate speech and denialism. No bodies found after $8 million spent searching for bodies. Mass graves hoax confirmed. Again, should this bill become law, this video right here, which I strongly recommend you watch, this is the most recent one I did in May of 2024. Again, this would be considered hate speech and potentially face criminal activity. Should this MP, this member of parliament's bill, come into law? It's not very likely that it will, but just the fact that things like this are even being brought to the table is ridiculous. Because everybody should be asking the question right now, where are these bodies? If we're contributing millions and millions of dollars to the reconciliation effort, I think it's a fair question to ask. Why has not one single child been found yet to this day? Why are we perpetuating this stuff? Teaching young children in school right now that Canada is systemically racist because of this, this history that we have, when none of it has been proven to be true. Yes, young children were taken from their families, by the Canadian government in conjunction with the Catholic Church to attempt to, assimilate them into society. And there's a lot of bad things that come along with that shouldn't have been done and cannot be ignored. But having said that, there was a great deal of tuberculosis at the time. There was a lot of malnourishment within these children. There was starvations. There was a whole other host of reasons why these kids were dying, not on purpose, as we've been conditioned to believe, to be against, Christians who go out on missionaries trying to, help people in the world, and to completely, paint this nation as a systemically racist nation that is built on genocide. And it's an absolute myth. It's an absolute fabrication, and none of it is true. That's why I said this just the other day. In case you guys didn't know, Truth and Reconciliation Day is coming up, and I'm quite interested in the truth part, because as of now, only anomalies have been detected, and not one single body has yet been found or recovered. Why? Because this is a monstrosity of a hoax, a massive Canadian lie that will steal billions from taxpayers for reconciliation while having zero evidence to support the claim. And that's the truth that people are having a hard time dealing with. So again, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. If this particular bill that is being proposed passes into law, people like me could be, held criminally responsible for pointing out the fact that, not a single bone has been recovered to this day, and, we should continue to ask questions about this without being referred to as, denialist conspiracy theorists. So, just wanted to bring that one to your attention, guys. As I said, I've been covering this one since the very beginning. Check the links in the description if you want to check all the sources to this, and you can look back on all the stuff that I've been covering on this over the years. If you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this information, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You could sign up for a monthly recurring contribution by clicking there, or by joining me on Subscribestar. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever is with your means is very greatly appreciated, guys. You can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you can send stuff to my P.O. box. Links for all of this will be located in the description below on whatever video platform you happen to be watching this on, whether it's Rumble or BitChute or Minds or Odyssey or Hive or Band or any of the other great platforms that I post on. Please check that top link in the description below to where you can find me at pressfortruth.ca/donate. And that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring all of that to your attention. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.